everybody. Good morning from Silicon Valley. This is the 1 million by 1 million online rendezvous. This is Sramana Mitra, founder and CEO of 1 million by 1 million, coming to you live from California. Whichever time zone you're in, we are good morning, but we may be in Qatar or South Africa or India or Hong Kong. Greetings. Greetings and happy holidays. Holidays are coming up. We are getting ready for the last week of work before we adjourn for Christmas. So we're getting a lot of work done right now. I will continue with our answering questions policy that we've followed in these LinkedIn Live sessions. As you know, we do a lot of work within the framework of 1 million by 1 million, which is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. And in support of that mission, we do this. We do the free public roundtables where you can bring your projects, and it's a safe working session. I will work with you and give you feedback on your project. We do all kinds of content work. We have courses. We have a full acceleration program. We have a curriculum that you can subscribe to as well. So there are many, many different ways in which you can learn the tricks of entrepreneurship, early stage entrepreneurship, through the 1 million by 1 million platform. This live Q&A session is one of them. What we've been doing is collecting questions from all our different touch points and answering some of them in each of these sessions. So let me go to our first question today. What are the best bootstrapping techniques? So, you know, raising funds is a very low probability game. Fewer than 1% who try actually succeed. Outside the Valley, the startup ecosystem are mostly a lot more immature. They have matured in the course of the last, 5 years. Even outside Silicon Valley, many ecosystems have matured, but the probability of raising early funding, pre-seed funding, seed funding, is probably even lower. And the bar to raise seed funding is getting higher and higher. Seed investors are mostly operating as growth investors, expecting that the entrepreneur will somehow manage to bridge the gap and bring a concept to realization. In fact, what these investors really want is to invest in businesses that have traction, not just validation. In short, they want to come to the rescue of victory. As an entrepreneur, how do you go from concept to traction? How do you bridge the seed capital gap? What do you do if you're full of dreams but stuck in the gap between concept and seed? Offering a service is one of the best ways to bootstrap. This remains a controversial point of view. Most industry observers take the position that companies get distracted if they try to bootstrap a product with a service. But from where I sit, bootstrapping products with services is a tried and true method. Let's look at some examples. Agile One, a company that provides cloud-based predictive customer analytics, was founded by Omer Artun in 2006. Initially, the company relied entirely on services to get close to customers, understand and address their problems, and in the process, generate revenues. Today, Agile One's product is a software as a service platform. Much of what the company learned about its customers in the services mode has been developed into its product, although a good percentage of revenue still comes from services, and that's okay. Omer bootstrapped his company from no revenue or employees to about 45 employees and over 15 million in revenue by the time Agile One raised funding from Sequoia Capital in 2011. Silicon Valley's top VC firm made a sizable investment at a high valuation in a company that was bootstrapped using services. Andy Chow, a PhD student at Stanford, also bootstrapped his company Coverity using services. Andy's research was financed by DARPA at the university. The technology allows automated cleaning up of large code bases and was licensed back to the company by Stanford. Andy recounts his funding story, and I quote, "We talked to all of the VCs and told them that if they wanted to invest in us, we would only consider certain types of deals. We presented them with our range of acceptable terms and indicated that if we did not receive offers in those ranges, we were content to continue bootstrapping the company as we had a solid clientele. We were in a sweet position where we had revenues and did not need to receive additional investments to succeed. As a result, we got a good deal from Benchmark Capital. They invested $22.3 million in us in 2007. Unquote. In our incubation and acceleration methodology at 1 million by 1 million, we actively encourage entrepreneurs to engage in services businesses. In particular, we encourage them to immerse themselves with customers, learn their problems, and do some services projects that not only generate cash, but also generate customer intimacy and trust. Through these kinds of dialogues, entrepreneurs diagnose real pain points in customers and end up building products that customers are willing to pay for. Consider one example from our portfolio. Rails Factory, a consulting and app development company that provides solutions for the web application framework Ruby on Rails, was co-founded by Senthil Nayagam and Dinesh Kumar in 2006. Rails Factory provides numerous services, primarily focusing on app development for the Ruby on Rails platform. Senthil and Dinesh bootstrap Rails Factory themselves, starting with about $1,250 of seed money. When they needed to, they each utilized other personal resources. Senthil reached into his savings and Dinesh turned to his parents. But they started generating revenues fast, thanks to the services they offered. They were generating revenue by the second month, and they've been growing since. To date, Rails Factory has executed over 100 projects and has worked with clients in the US, Canada, India, Australia, Singapore, and UK. Their services revenues have crossed a couple of $1 million. And this is, I'm talking a while ago now, the company has recently built a product that they actually started validating with services customers. So each of these companies bootstrap to profitability via services. Not only is this a viable method of getting your startup off the ground, it's a proven method of reaching profitability as well. In some cases, it can take you to the enviable position of having VCs like Sequoia or Benchmark knock on your door. In other cases, you could have even investment bankers come calling, wanting to take you public, and a whole slew of late-stage investors wanting to shower you with funds. All of those are desirable outcomes. You could even get an exit by bootstrapping with services with no financing along the way. So bottom line, in 1 million by 1 million over the last decade, we have used bootstrapping with services extensively in our portfolio, and it works. So straight from the horse's mouth, it works. By all means, use the methodology. Okay, we'll go to the next question. And the next question is consulting while running a startup giving up? Very similar question to what we just discussed. If your advisors are telling you, do not do services because it defocuses your company, they are wrong. Bootstrapping using services works great. Ask Nilay Banker. Nilay used services to get close to large enterprise customers and their procurement departments. He learned that suppliers of large enterprises were willing to offer discounts if they were offered better payment terms. 30-day payment instead of 60-day, for example. Nilay went on to build Inspirus, the product, on that insight. Inspirus is bootstrapped using services. It scaled to over 10 million in revenue with no outside financing. Nilay would never have identified the opportunity had he not been deeply immersed in those services projects. Bootstrapping using services very effectively all the time. It works. It works, it works, it works. I can tell you it works. So do not listen to bogus advice. If you want to discuss more, bring your project. Let's say you are bootstrapping using services and you want to discuss your specific situation, bring it to one of our free public roundtables and I will look at your project, give you more direct feedback. Okay, next question. What current issues do you feel are ripe for innovative tech-enabled solutions? This is a question I'm answering from Quora. So here are some ideas. Healthcare. Amazon is getting into healthcare, and that is excellent news. Healthcare is very broken, especially health insurance. Airlines, terrible industry with utterly mediocre services, except a few like Virgin, Singapore, Emirates. They need talent and innovation. And if you can find a way to do things better for that industry using information technology, great. One of the areas of technology is not IT, this is not in our domain, but a technology that I'm very, very interested in and very curious about is supersonic jets, where you can go from San Francisco to New Delhi in, I don't know, 6 hours, maybe 3 hours, 6 hours, something like that. But supersonic jets is something that would vastly change the quality of my life because I have family in India and I live in California. It's on the other side of the world. So that would be interesting. Another one is poverty. Technology combined with the fortunes of the super rich could eradicate poverty. Bill Gates is a very good example of doing some meaningful things, but a lot more work is needed here. So those are just 3 pointers, that many, many, many others. Basically, software is eating the world, so software can be applied on almost everything these days. Okay, next question. Which new AI technologies hold great promise for new innovative businesses? This is another Quora question. My analysis is that the core AI algorithms are largely in place at this point. What is missing and where there is tremendous number of opportunities to build new businesses is to apply these algorithms to specific industry niches and workflows. This, by the way, is a domain knowledge intensive affair. For example, if you want to apply AI to wealth management, you need deep domain knowledge of that industry. And then you need enough AI knowledge to automate portions of the workflow to gain leverage. Same thing for, say, radiology analysis. You need deep domain knowledge in radiology to be able to build AI to address that area of healthcare. So I'm not hugely bullish on horizontal AI right now. It's the industry-specific automation that will be really exciting to watch unfold. There are exceptions. I'm not saying there is not work going on in horizontal AI that is not interesting, but the lower hanging fruits, I think, and the more capital intensive opportunities are going to be in vertical AI, domain specific AI. Okay, the next question is, what is your opinion of failing is not bad? It's a way to learn for entrepreneurs. Well, my opinion is this. You generally learn a lot more from failures than from success. So yes, failing isn't so bad. However, you shouldn't plan for failure. You should try to maximize the probability of success. But if you fail, try to have the right attitude about it. Do a thorough post-mortem. We have a pretty robust, proven methodology in 1 million by 1 million. Study that methodology, see what you could have done differently if you have failed. Learn how to avoid common mistakes, and then start over. Now, doing a startup is very, very tiring. in the late 90s, between 94 and 2000, I was raising money constantly for 6 years and I was exhausted. So you could be very tired if you are coming to the end of a startup cycle with your particular current company. Take some rest. Don't start another company right away. However, while you're resting, you can study and do the post-mortem, the introspection of why you failed. What did you do wrong? What could you have done differently? Learn methodology. Methodology is available to learn today. In our program, we have over 1,000 successful entrepreneurs who have shared their methodology and their success factors, their strategies, how they put one foot before the other, very generously, and we have packaged all of that so that you can consume it efficiently and effectively. So I would say use that body of knowledge, use that depth of perspective, and learn before you jump in again right away. Okay. The next question is, why do you advise entrepreneurs not to raise funding at the early stages of business development? Well, if you are raising money for your startup, let me give you a set of heuristics with which to assess your probability of success. Let's say you just have a concept. You could assume that your probability of raising funds as a first-time entrepreneur with just the concept is zero. Zero. If you want money to build a minimum viable product, your probability of raising funds, again, is zero. I'm not kidding. This is the reality. It's brutal out there. If you have validation from 100 prospects, your probability of raising funds is, let's say, 0.1%. If you have validation from 100 prospects plus a minimum viable product, your probability of raising funds is 0.2%. If you have validation from 100 prospects plus an MVP plus non-paying customers, your probability of raising funds is 0.3%. If you have validation from 100 prospects plus MVP plus paying customers, now you've really come to a point that is very desirable for investors. Your probability of raising funds now is 0.4%. If you have validation from 100 prospects plus MVP plus paying customers plus a well thought through, well analyzed, large total available market model that you can defend legitimately, your probability of raising funds is 0.5%. So you see, with every step of validation, every step of maturity that you're introducing to your process, to your journey, the probability of fundraising is going up. If you have MVP, paying customers, large TAM, and a validated customer acquisition strategy, your probability of raising funds jumps again to 0.6%. If you have MVP, paying customers, large TAM, validated customer acquisition strategy, plus a fast growth rate, now we're talking 0.7%, let's say, probability of raising funds. And if you have an MVP, paying customers, large TAM, validated customer acquisition strategy, fast growth rate, plus complete team, your probability of raising funds now jumps to 0.8%. You're operating at the higher end of the fundability probability statistic. If you have MVP plus paying customers plus large TAM plus validated customer acquisition strategy plus fast growth rate plus complete team plus traction, now you have just raised your probability to 0.9%. And finally, If you have MVP, paying customers, large TAM, validated customer acquisition strategy, fast growth rate, complete team, plus traction, plus track record, you've done it before, you've done something before, or you have great domain knowledge in the domain in which you're working, now you have hit perhaps a 1% probability of being funded. And that is kind of the top end of fundability for an early stage startup. Of course, if you bootstrap to $15 million in revenue, we talked about this earlier, your probability of fundraising is very high, especially if it's product revenue, recurring annual revenue run rate kind of model, and you have 15 million of that, that is a very different ballgame. What I'm talking about is a very early stage story. The bottom line is over 99% of the entrepreneurs who seek financing actually get rejected. So our philosophy is bootstrap first, raise money later. Do not go to VCs as beggars, go as a king. You could bootstrap with your paycheck, you could bootstrap using services, you can bootstrap to validation, you can bootstrap to traction. As I said, VCs love to come to the rescue of victory. So start bootstrapping. All right. A slightly different question that we got recently. By the way, feel free to ask questions in the public chat and we'll pick up your questions and either answer them today or answer them later, but we will answer your questions. Why do we need more entrepreneurs? Aren't there plenty already? Interesting. Okay. Well, there are real entrepreneurs and then there are wannabes who just want the glamour without the work. Entrepreneurship is tough, really, really tough. We need more serious entrepreneurs who can build real companies and fewer foo-foo types that just create noise and no value. That is my answer to this somewhat strange question. Next question is, what is your advice to failed entrepreneurs? My number one advice to failed entrepreneurs is do a thorough postmortem. Why did it not work this time? Assume that you're going to do it again, but before you go out to do it again, you have to do a postmortem. We have a pretty robust, proven methodology in 1 million by 1 million. Why not study the methodology, see what you've done differently, could have done differently, learn how to avoid the common mistakes, and then start over. As I said earlier, if you're tired, rest. Don't start another company right away. While you're resting, think, introspect, learn, do the postmortem. Okay. Next question is, what would you do if you were running a venture capital fund? There are so many. How would you differentiate? Good question. How do you differentiate any product or service? You position to address a gap. Where are the gaps right now in startup investing? I would say pre-seed investing is relatively underserved. We do work with some pre-seed funds, but pre-seed investing remains a very, very complicated ballgame. The Series A gap is a real issue. Between, let's say you manage to raise some funding in the seed stage, but Series A, the benchmark and the bar is very high for Series A, so the Series A gap going from seed to Series A is a really big issue. Non-unicorn investment opportunities is an underserved area. VCs are chasing unicorns, so some investors have differentiated and positioned in search of non-unicorn companies, and that's a reasonably interesting strategy. Similarly, you could look for sector-related gaps. In a recent roundtable, we had a Brazilian investor, and these guys started with the goal of addressing an underserved market in Brazil, in the startup market in Brazil, and then as they started acting in that market and investing in that market, they realized that A large chunk of the deal flow was coming from the ag tech sector, agricultural technology, which there seemed to be a lot of in that geography. So in the next fund, the first fund was a very small fund, and the second fund, which was still a small fund, they repositioned to do only ag tech in Brazil. So interesting strategies of differentiation and positioning. The next question is it possible to effectively compete with giants like Alibaba or Amazon nowadays? How do you compete with Amazon? Can you still build e-commerce companies? The answer is yes. Niche e-commerce can still work, but you need differentiation. I'm going to talk about an entrepreneur called Eyal Levi. Eyal has built a niche online-offline brand called Yogibo. Yogibo sells bean bags and a related range of lifestyle products. In 3.5 years, they crossed 5 million in revenue, in bootstrap revenue. In 8 years, they were approaching 20 million with a very small amount of financing. There are many strategic nuances that Eyal has used to maneuver. Learn what your options are. Go look at the case study of Eyal Levi's company, Yogibo, on our website under Entrepreneur Journeys. By the way, you see that I often give you stories, right, of entrepreneurs. You ask me a question, I'll tell you, go look at this story or this entrepreneur's journey and that entrepreneur's journey. All of these entrepreneur journeys are available for free on our website. Go to Entrepreneur Journeys on the 1 million by 1 million blog, 1m1m.com. And you can find all these entrepreneur journeys, and they're very, very interesting ways for building businesses. And you can use that as a blueprint. You can use that as a way to learn. Okay, next question. What are examples of startups solving Indian-only SME problems that have scaled into million-dollar businesses? Okay. Can you scale an SME-facing business, B2B business in India, is roughly what you're asking. Yes, you can, but it's not easy. Indian SMEs are very slow to react. They don't like to pay much. They need high-touch selling. And the combination of not being willing to pay much and needing high-touch selling makes it very difficult to build a high-velocity business facing B2B SMEs in India. Typically, VCs look for fast growth businesses. Most SME-facing ventures in India grow slowly. It's okay to bootstrap, hard to finance. A couple of companies have succeeded in raising venture capital so far. One is Nolarity and the another is Greytip. Nolarity sells cloud telephony. Ambarish Gupta is the entrepreneur. The case study is available on our blog. Greytip sells cloud-based payroll. Girish Rauji is the entrepreneur. You can study their strategies available on our website. But I will tell you this, neither company has turned out to be a very fast growth company. So I would say if you're going towards that sector, your path is mostly going to be as a bootstrapped entrepreneur. Next question. Are there any examples of successful startups that began with one founder in their basement? Again, it's a counterintuitive answer that I'm going to give you. Most people would say it's not a good idea to start alone. My take is you always start alone. Are people telling you that solopreneurs don't succeed? Don't believe them. You always start alone. The example I'm going to give you, I have many examples. This is a category where we have covered extensively. The example I'm going to give you today is of Sean Broy here. Sean started a company called Fine Art America alone. It was a marketplace for visual artists to sell prints of their works. It took him 3 years to get to $1 million. In 5 years, Sean was doing $5 million in revenue with just 3 employees. That's a success, in my opinion. 3 employees generating $5 million a year is a success. You always start alone is the conclusion I have come to after talking to so many entrepreneurs who have actually succeeded starting alone. Okay, last question for today. How do I get feedback from you on my venture? Well, 1 Million by 1 Million offers free online mentoring roundtables for entrepreneurs looking to discuss positioning, financing, and all other aspects of building a startup venture. Up to 5 entrepreneurs who registered to pitch on our website. Go to the website, go under the free public roundtables tab, and that's where you will find all these details. Up to 5 entrepreneurs who registered to pitch will be able to present their businesses. They will gain straightforward feedback, advice on next steps, and answers to questions from me and possibly from some of the guests. I have frequent CEOs and VCs as guests at these roundtables. They also brainstorm on your strategy. You can register to attend, to listen, learn, and join in the conversations via live chat, or you can register to pitch. Everybody who registers will receive the recording by email the next day. So if you miss the session, the live session, you can also listen to the recording. Go to our YouTube channel and you will find recording after recording of these sessions. That's also a great way to learn. The other, so we have one more roundtable in December. That's December 19th, Thursday morning, 8 a.m. Pacific. You can go to the website and register. The roundtable, free roundtable after that is going to be on January 23rd, Thursday, January 23rd, also 8 a.m. Pacific. And there will be another on January 30th, Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific. So after this week, we're going to be adjourning for the holidays, and then I'm traveling. I will be going to India for a bit. So we will be still doing our private roundtables, which is working with our premium members. But for the free roundtables, we are going to be meeting again on January 23rd. Remember one thing, that those of you who registered to pitch will receive instructions on the preparation required for your discussion, including a roundtable slides pitch template. We also recommend something that you should use extensively. Go to the website. There's the 1 Million by 1 Million self-assessment tool. You must use this. Every investor is going to ask you these questions. So you have the questions in front of you. Go through the questions, ask yourselves those questions, prepare. Prepare before investors grill you on the same points. The other thing I would say is several entrepreneurs interested in pitching have first expanded their knowledge of the essential components of building a startup by joining our monthly 1 Million by 1 Million basic program and going through the 1 Million by 1 Million curriculum. You could do that as well. So if you go to the website and look up 1 Million by 1 Million basic, that will give you a description of how to use that. If you pitch after learning the curriculum, you get a lot more out of the interactions with me from the public roundtables. And if you're in the premium program, you can pitch to me every week. We have sessions, roundtable sessions for premium members every week. These are private roundtables. Note that we only work with IT and IT-enabled services businesses. In the last few weeks of doing these LinkedIn live sessions, we have got a lot of questions from entrepreneurs who are in other sectors. We fully respect what you're doing in all these other sectors. The reason we don't do other sectors has nothing to do with you. It's entirely to do with us and our lack of knowledge in those other sectors. So if you're doing something in, pharmaceutical drug discovery, that's not our sweet spot. We don't know anything about doing that. Unless you're using AI somehow to do some, IT-enabled drug discovery algorithm, that I can address. But if you're working on biology, that is not our skill set, and that is not something we can help you with. So that's just an example. IT and IT-enabled services is our sweet spot. So we will work with you. We will continue to work with you on that. So with that, I recommend that you please take advantage of all the resources that we've brought together, all the different touch points that we have on 1 million by 1 million. If you're in Silicon Valley, we have an in-person rendezvous at 5 p.m. at Cafe Boroni in Menlo Park tomorrow evening. Please come. I'll be happy to see you in person. We have great, meetings, entrepreneur meetups, effectively at these rendezvous. And they're very friendly, very informal, safe places to come discuss and come network. That is it. Happy holidays. I wish you all a wonderful time to recharge your batteries, because it's going to be a very busy 2020. If you're an entrepreneur trying to navigate 2020, it's going to be very busy. And it's going to be very busy for us too. So look forward to seeing you soon. And I've enjoyed doing these LinkedIn live sessions with you from... we started, I think it was back in October. So we've done a few sessions already. So we would like to continue doing these sessions in 2020 and connect with many of you over our various touch points. Bye-bye. See you soon.